The laughter started before she even made it to the second pull-up. It was the kind of laughter that stings, not because it was loud, but because it was meant to humiliate. It came from a group of recruits standing under the steel-gray sky of Naval Base Coronado, their uniforms crisp, their confidence unearned. And in the middle of that ring of smirks and whispered jokes was a young woman, drenched in sweat, arms trembling, her right shoulder trembling slightly under the weight of effort and history. Her name was Lily Carter, 24 years old, former medic, small, wiry, but with eyes that spoke of storms survived. On her left forearm, faint beneath the sweat and grit, was a tattoo, a black trident etched deep with the words, "For those who never came home." The others saw it and snickered. "Who do you think you are? Navy SEAL?" one had muttered. Another laughed. Maybe her boyfriend was one. Poor guy. But Lily said nothing. She never did. She dropped from the bar after her set, landing lightly on the sand. Her lungs burned, her hands bled slightly from the metal, but her eyes, calm, unbroken, stared straight ahead toward the sea. The same sea that had taken more from her than anyone here could ever understand. Lily had once been stationed in Afghanistan, a combat medic attached to a SEAL unit, Team 9. They called her Doc. Not officially. Of course, she wasn't one of them, not by title or rank. But when you've knelt in the dirt beside men bleeding out from shrapnel, holding the line between life and death, you earn a certain kind of respect. Or at least you did, until that mission. She could still smell the burning fuel, the dust, the metallic tang of blood in her mouth. The ambush had come at dawn, sudden and merciless. Out of 12 men, only 4 had made it back. She had carried 2 of them, broken, half-conscious, for 6 miles through enemy fire. The others, including Lieutenant Hayes, her commanding officer, the man who'd once told her she had the heart of a SEAL, never came home. After that, she was discharged on medical grounds. Too many injuries, too much trauma. They told her she'd done enough, that she'd served her country well. But how do you ever accept enough when you're the only one left standing? So she came back. Not as a soldier this time, but as a civilian trainer, a contractor helping with medical readiness drills for new recruits. The tattoo, she said, was for them, for the men who'd died so others could live. But the new generation didn't understand. They only saw a woman, quiet, small, too young to be anything special, with a tattoo they thought was a joke. That morning, the laughter didn't stop. One of the recruits, tall, loud, full of arrogance, pointed at her tattoo and said, "Who gave you permission to wear that symbol? You even know what it means?" His friends laughed again, echoing across the sand. Lily looked at him, eyes still soft, voice even softer, and simply said, "Yes, I do." Then she turned and walked toward the obstacle course without another word. The recruits followed, snickering. They watched as she lined up at the wall, the same wall every trainee dreaded. She didn't rush, didn't boast. She just started climbing. Hand over hand, controlled, precise, silent. Years of muscle memory hidden beneath quiet grace. By the time she hit the top, the laughter had stopped. When she dropped down on the other side, landing without a stumble, the silence felt heavier than the air. What none of them knew was that her tattoo wasn't just a tribute. It was a mark of belonging. The trident wasn't generic. It was identical to the one worn by her fallen commander. The same size, the same detail, the same scar that cut through it on his arm. She'd been there when the medic tagged his body. She'd taken off her gloves, held his cold hand, and whispered, "You're home now." That night, she carved the tattoo over her own arm with trembling fingers and saltwater tears, promising she'd live for them all. Later that afternoon, while the recruits were cooling off near the mess hall, a convoy of black vehicles rolled onto the base. Everyone turned to watch as several high-ranking officers stepped out. But what caught everyone's attention wasn't the officers. It was the man walking behind them. A tall, broad-shouldered figure in dark fatigues wearing the gold trident insignia of a Navy SEAL commander. His presence was calm, commanding, the kind that made even the loudest fall silent. Commander Ethan Cole, one of the most decorated SEAL officers still in service. Word was he'd served with Team 9, the same unit Lily once bled for. When he approached, the recruits instinctively straightened. Some saluted nervously. Others whispered his name in awe. Lily, standing a few feet back, froze. Her hands trembled. It had been years since she'd seen that insignia up close. She looked down, trying to hide the tattoo now covered with sand and sweat. But the commander's eyes had already found her. He stopped mid-step, his expression shifting from confusion to disbelief. The recruits noticed too, exchanging glances. Why was the SEAL commander staring at her? The quiet civilian trainer they'd been mocking all morning. Then, without a word, Commander Cole walked straight toward her. Every step seemed to echo in the silence. He stopped right in front of her, eyes locked on the tattoo on her arm. Slowly, he reached out, brushing away the sand with a gloved hand. His fingers trembled slightly as he traced the trident, the exact replica of one that had belonged to his fallen brother in arms. For a long moment, nobody spoke. Then, to everyone's shock, the commander stepped back, straightened his posture, and saluted her. The recruits froze. The air seemed to vanish from the world. Nobody moved, nobody breathed. They couldn't understand. Why would a SEAL commander, a living legend, salute a civilian woman with a tattoo? But Lily understood. Because that salute wasn't for her. It was for the memory of Team 9, for the medic who never left her brothers behind, for the woman who carried the weight of the dead with quiet dignity. Commander Cole's voice finally broke the silence, rough with emotion, as he said, "Ma'am, it's an honor to meet you again." Her eyes filled with tears she'd buried for years. She didn't answer. She didn't need to. Around them, the recruits stood in stunned silence, their laughter now ghosts in their throats. Some lowered their heads in shame, realizing what that tattoo really meant. Later that evening, after the sun dipped behind the ocean, Lily sat alone by the shore. The waves crashed softly against the rocks, whispering the names of men she'd never forget. She looked at her arm, the trident glistening faintly under the moonlight, and for the first time in years she smiled. Not because the pain was gone, but because it finally meant something again. The next morning, when training resumed, the same recruits approached her. No one laughed this time. One by one, they saluted her quietly before starting their drills. Respect had replaced ridicule. And somewhere in that moment, Lily realized, sometimes strength isn't loud and heroism isn't about medals or ranks. Sometimes it's about the silent promise you make to never forget. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of the quiet heroes who walk among us every day, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe for more stories that honor courage, sacrifice, and love that never fades. Special request, tell me in the comments, what does true strength mean to you? Because sometimes the bravest people are the ones who carry the heaviest memories in silence.